The opening, Blade Runner 2049. Seems familiar? The opening of Blade Runner 2049 perfectly pays homage to the original by displaying a very similar formatted text that the original did also. It gives you a basic description and explanation of what's been going on in the world of Blade Runner, so that you go into the world of Blade Runner with a small amount of information that actually really helps you through the journey. After the text, we get an image of an eye opening. As the eye opens, the music blasts, explodes. I believe this is trying to say that it doesn't matter who the person is, but there's life here. Life is awake, and I think the eye belongs to our main character, Kay. And I even believe that this possibly is when he first awakes as being a replicant, or maybe not. Maybe it's just him waking up. But at the end of it, we know that Kay is alive, and that even if this isn't his eye, this proves that everyone who has the ability to open their eyes and look around is alive and is their own person. Another thing is that in the original Blade Runner, there's a shot of Roy Batty's eye that I think the eye in this movie is trying to reflect on. The only difference between them is that Roy Batty's eye has reflections off all the lights, which is basically to do with the later bit in the film where he talks about his memories. And what I think it's trying to say is that the eyes are our gateway to visual memory, and I think that's really important in this film. But I also think visual memory is important in life generally, and I think this movie tries to question our humanity and tries to question memories in general. Welcome to California 2049. California 2049 has been turned from greenery to metal, dust, ash and plastic. In an odd way, it looks beautiful, but it's disgusting at the same time to realise that all the greenery is gone, but it's so vast and so gigantic that it's actually amazing to see that all these man-made things and is now California. We then get introduced to Kay, our main protagonist of the story.
I've never retired something that was born before.
What's the difference?
To be born is to have a soul, I guess.
You've been getting on fine without one.
What's that, madam?
A soul.
I have memories, but they're not real. They're just implants.
Officer Kay is first shown as a heartless replicant, simply following his orders. He is told to retire, which means to kill other old replicants, because, as he quoted from the film,
I don't retire my own kind because we don't run.
he has a digital girlfriend. Joy is simply a product. We know this because throughout the film, it constantly tries to remind you that she is a product and is not real. For example, in the love scene where she combines with the prostitute, as that begins to develop and they start to have sexual contact, it changes to a shot of a product of another holograph of Joy, and it's just reminding you that she isn't real and she is just a product and she is programmed for Kay, and so that Kay believes that she's real and that she loves him. You can see in the scene where love crushes Joy and destroys her, Kay is emotionally impacted by this, as he did actually love her. But in the scene where he sees the hologram of her and she calls him Joe, he realises that it's just in her programming, and this is when he realises that he's only got himself to fight for, and that is why he helps Deckard. I also would mention there's Kay has a lot of enigma surrounding him. He is very mysterious and he is very difficult to understand as a person, to a lot of people in the film, but also I'd say to the audience as well.
I do hope you're satisfied with our product.
I love you.
Where is he? Because we never lie. I'm gonna tell Mr. Wallace you tried to shoot me first. So I had to kill you. Yep. Here you go.
The best angel of all. Aren't you, love?
Let's talk about Wallace and Love. Love is a replicant that is constantly told throughout the film that she's the best of all. As he says, you are the best angel of all.
The best angel of all. Aren't you, love?
And when she's about to kill Kay, she says, I'm the best one.
I'm the best one.
So throughout her life of being a replicant, she's told that she's the best and no one stands a chance against her. I feel, although she has a hate and is scared of her creator, she still needs him at the same time. You can see the pain she goes through in the scene where she's watching the birth of a replicant, but she also watches the death of a replicant. Wallace is almost presented as a symbolic god in the film. He creates and takes away life through replicants. I don't know if Love agrees with this or not, but she has a huge emotional response to it. Love has the duty of finding the child and killing it, but also to take Deckard away to try and find the child. Throughout the film, she constantly proves that although she's meant to take orders and listen to everything her creator says, she makes her own decisions and actually doesn't listen to her creator at times. For example, there's a scene where she says, because we never lie, and then she says, I'm going to tell Wallace that you shot me first. So right there, she's about to tell a lie and is about to lie to her creator, which is not meant to happen. So it shows that already she's got what people would say is a soul, because she can make her own decisions. The thing about Love in this film is she's very aggressive and very violent. She constantly uses violence or murder to solve problems in this film. It's just what she does. It might be to do with how she's created and how she's programmed. It might be to do with her own personal decisions, but the decisions she makes are definitely not the right ones. Something I noticed about Love is what the clothes that she wears. She wears a lot of dark blacks and greys, a a lot of bright whites, and there's the scene where she's confronting Lieutenant Joshi, and she's wearing bright white, but the black's going over the white, and she's got a red top underneath, and I think that just sort of shows that she's going to commit violence because the darkness is overlapping the whiteness on her, and it's showing the red, which obviously symbols like danger. So I think that's definitely a connotation there used in the film through clothing. Also, she's probably the most violent character in the film, but I think when she wears bright white, I think it's just trying to show, like, when you think of white, it's quite like a blank colour, or blank is white, and I think it just shows what goes through her mind when she's committing violence. She's got a blank mind, she doesn't have any feelings when she does it, and then obviously the dark greys and the blacks just sort of tells you that she's a dark character and she's not good. But an interesting scene is when Wallace creates the replicant in front of her and then kills it. She sheds a tear, and he's wearing a very dark black and she's wearing a very bright white, so I think that's trying to show that they are different people and they have different thoughts and feelings. She's emotionally impacted by it and he's just not. I think another connotation in Blade Runner 2049 is the names that are used, apart from obviously like K isn't a connotation, but I think joy and love are definitely connotations, especially in the fact that love kills joy, and I think maybe because love was going to you can tell she's not happy with Wallace, and she does actually go against Wallace's rules, so in a way she does actually have her own being somewhat. So because she's actually real and joy isn't, she's just a product to give people joy, the real being love kills joy, but actually in the end doing that makes Officer K realise that joy was just a product all along anyway. So love killing joy actually helped K realise she wasn't real. Blade Runner 2049 is a linear story. There's a start to finish, it's all in a chronological order. It is non-realism in the fact that there's basically spaceships, and it's all like in the future, but it's a realistic view on a non-realism film, so it's sort of half-half. It's a mixture between realism and non-realism, which I think gets you really grounded into the world of Blade Runner because it is so realistic for a non-realistic film. When it comes to technical codes, Blade Runner 2049 absolutely is amazing in that department. The cinematography is spectacular. It uses rule of thirds beautifully. It uses camera movement really well. I mean, it's shot by Roger Deakins, one of the best cinematographers in today's age, who actually won an Oscar for the cinematography. And I'll show you some shots that I think are just absolutely beautiful. But also the sound mixing, the sound mixing's absolutely amazing. Just the things that appear on screen and the sound effects added to it are just absolutely out of this world. The soundtrack is again spectacular, mind-blowing. In the cinema it's very, very loud and powerful, and it really gives you an experience in that cinema. It's one of the best experiences I've seen in the cinema ever, because those speakers are just blazingly loud, but it's not a bad loud, it's just amazing. And the cinematography just adds to it as well, and the sound mixing spectacular. I got an Oscar for it. Technically it's a great film. As for symbolic codes, they are woven in the film. Like I mentioned before, there's that bit where it shows the product of joy when they're having it uses colours for symbolism. It uses a lot of deep blues, deep greens, deep yellows, and I think yellow's really significant in this film, because whenever there's yellow, there's always some sort of death that sort of goes on. Because when it's yellow in the scene, that's where Joy dies, and that's a massive death in the film. And also when it's very yellow with Wallace, he kills that replicant. So I think yellow almost represents sort of death in a way in this film, but maybe not specifically death, but maybe just life and death and bad things to come, maybe.
We're all just looking out for something real.
I feel a little strange sharing a childhood story, considering I was never a child. I know it's real.
I love you. I want to be real for you.
You are real for me.
You look like a good Joe.
Sometimes to love someone, you gotta be a stranger.
Can't help your future, but I can give you good memories to think back on and smile.
When Kay realises that Joy was definitely a product, that's when he decides he's going to go and save Deckard, because he's had a resolution of how to deal with the Deckard situation. The replicants earlier told him to go kill him, and I think that's very similar to how he was commanded from the start of the film. But then he decides, and you can see it in his face in the scene where he looks down at his gun that he's going to make his own decision in that scene, and that's what makes him more human than probably human, because he goes out and saves Deckard and lets him see his daughter for his life. In the ending scene where Deckard, Officer K is dying, it's equally beautiful and sad. The snow is very similar to the rain in the first film. The death's also very similar to the first films, but there's obviously differences with the cinematography and the way it's the same music's played to again pay homage to the original. It's like a revamped version though, which actually I prefer to the original. I think it sounds cleaner. And Kay's looking up. First of all, he feels the snow in his hand, to sort of suggest you can actually feel it, like he is human. And then he sits down, lays back to pass, whilst looking up at the sky. And I think in the scene you can sort of see it in his eyes that he's just looking back on his memories and everything's done. And you can sort of see that he's content with it now. He's saved Deckard's daughter and Deckard.